Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
yes.
Hi.
Right. So, thank you today for Eva Rowson to come and be my guest on Drastic Social.
Thank
Yes.
you. It's such an honor.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor, actually. So, we are going to start. I'm going to first introduce Drastic Social. This is a little project of mine. I am Bertha Chan. I'm the founder of Drastic Social, and this conversation it's learning about our community, the creators and the protagonists in Bergen and maybe Hong Kong or Vienna where I usually visit. So in each of the community, there are people, amazing people like you, that is the beacon and the the staple of our community, and you're one of the reasons why so many things are happening here and in a very wholesome way. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Oh.
So today I want to talk to you about mainly how you as Eva come to this point of your life, because as I learned when I first moved here in 2020, you just got appointed to be the managing director a year ago in
Mhm.
2019 for Bergen Kjøtt, right? And so you have made ever since you made a lot of changes, also learning how to do things the way that feels authentic and as a support system for your community, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about how you've come to this point in your life?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. That's such a nice introduction. And just I have to say as well that the reason that I'm here is also because of people like you that I am energized by and
Mm.
inspired by, and it's never one way only. So thank you also. And yeah, I was appointed as managing director of Bergen Kjøtt in 2019, and I started just 2 weeks before the pandemic in 2020. And for those of you that don't know Bergen Kjøtt, it's old, very old, more than 100 years, butter factory that then became a margarine factory, and then in the 60s became a meat factory. And
Wow.
that's where it takes its name from today, Bergen Kjøtt, which
Mm.
means Bergen meat. And in 2010, it was taken over by Bergen Contemporary Art Project
Mm.
as music studios and cultural venue. And 10 years later, the building was purchased, and now it's run by a non-profit foundation, and I'm the first person to take over.
Mm-hmm.
So my role now is to really, like you said, look after this building, take care of the 100 musicians working in the building, think about what we are as a public resource, who we can support, give space to, as well as all of the concrete maintenance that
Mm-hmm.
keeps me busy. But yeah, it also feels like it's the culmination of my practice as an artist and curator and organizer for the last 10 years. I've always been interested in um, how how we organize institutions, how we pay people, structure our administration, how every kind of decision we make in running an organization has like a political,
Mm.
ethical impact. And so somehow this opportunity to now run Bergen Kjøtt and sort of take it into the new phase is a way for me to put all of my previous learning and theory and trying into practice and think about how I can develop this organization as a sustainable, resourceful, caring, ethical organization. So it really feels like it's an adventure,
Mm.
and that somehow all of my different parts of work and previous jobs and projects are now coming to into
Mm.
this adventure.
So, from what I hear, is obviously many years of experiences that can help you, facilitate you with what you need to do right now. Um, but how about the process of creating this I don't know, this flow, or how you came about to maybe right now I'm not sure if you feel already more comfortable about where you are, but I can imagine in the beginning it would be quite chaotic and don't know where to start because there are so many things and right. So what was that learning process like?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it was helped by the pandemic. And 2 weeks after I started at Bergen Kjøtt, everything stopped. And in a way, that break was quite useful to pause and to actually spend time listening to what people wanted. So I tried to meet with everybody who has a studio at Bergen Kjøtt to find out what they need, what's missing, what they want. And then also, like with my kind of previous experience in the city, hear from other people in Bergen what they need at the moment. What could this cultural institution provide that maybe doesn't exist or, needs to fill a gap? So in a way, the COVID time kind of gave that pause to thinking. And I guess I always try and think about like what is available to me now. Like it's one way of thinking to aim for something in the future and work towards it, but what do we have like at our fingertips right now that can do something? So during the pandemic, that was space. Bergen Kjøtt is one of the biggest venues in town, but we didn't have any equipment. So we then partnered with Bergen to install their sound system, staffing program in Bergen Kjøtt for almost a year so that we could support other organizations in Bergen who couldn't use their space during the pandemic because it was too small because it was shut down. So somehow through that, I also learned a lot about the space. And I think that's how I've always worked, like learning through doing and testing and getting stuck in and experiencing. And through that time during the pandemic of like offering the organization and the building to so many people, I got to really see how we can work, what things don't work, what things do work, what we need, what's too much, what's like never do again. And also made some partnerships that came through that very like stressful, intense time during the pandemic, but has helped to form longer term relationships. So I really got to understand the building very deeply. And I'm the only one, or I was the only one until recently at Bergen Kjøtt. So my title of managing director, I'm also like
you're not really just directing, but
no,
doing everything hands-on yourself.
Everything. And somebody asked me the other day, like, who do I call now the toilet on the 4th floor is blocked? It's like, that's me. I'm the person that you call when the toilet is blocked and when someone has lost their key and when someone wants to organize a concert. But through that, I've really learned how the building works and what's needed. And I think that way of approaching situations is, it's sort of, what do we have? What can we do now? What can we use? And then you kind of learn through doing.
It's I think it's a very rare occasion where a managing director is hands-on on everything from scratch, right? You're the only person in the beginning to get to know what's happening in the building. And every time when there's a maintenance, you're the person calling the plumber or the engineer or like whoever, and then you have to understand the situation. If it's normally another director, they would just, you just get someone else to do this instead of you yourself knowing everything from the bottom, right? And that makes you the greatest managing director, I would say, because you know everything inside out right now, right?
And I think it's I mean, for me it's always been really important that I'm connected to the doing as well as the theorizing. And all throughout my like practice and career as an artist and organizer, like I've always been interested in how things happen and how they get done, and always been frustrated by sort of like curatorial theory that is talking about things such as radical hospitality, but it's kind of in the clouds up here, whereas the actual like practical way of making hospitality work is rooted in knowing how you clean a venue, how you organize a bar, are, how you buy stock, how you look after people, like how you organize shift work, how you pay people, like all of that knowledge. It's so fundamental to making things work.
In itself is already one knowledge that somebody as like a bar manager or a restaurant manager needs to know, and you have that one bar and you already learned the whole process of that to take care of that space. This is the dedication and the heart that we need for everybody out there to make the place great, to make the community great. And this is why I'm so fascinated by how you do it, you know. Like I always look at you and think, how can you as a person do so many things at the same time? Like, how do you take care of yourself at this, you know, when you have such a great responsibility?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. And I also have to give a big shout out to all of the like extended team of builders, plumbers, electricians, key managers, Wi-Fi engineers, roofers, plumbers. Like they all have really, really helped me and are very caring and keep this organization going. And I don't know, it's constantly something that I'm processing, because so much of what I'm doing is my practice. I studied art, but then I became more interested and more involved in the DIY scene of organizing parties and events, and just because we were artists and needed to organize our own spaces to share our work. And then at some point, that's sort of what I started to do more of, the organizing and making things happen. And then somehow that kind of became my job. And now I'm doing a job where I'm lucky to be able to be doing my love of my practice in a job, but somehow that line is also very difficult because it is my job, and I want to kind of give my life to it, but I also can't, and I'm constantly like falling between these two things of where is it like love and where is it work and where is it practice and where is it a job that I applied for and I got. I didn't start Bergen Kjøtt. This isn't my thing that I dreamt up. And that's where maybe the care for myself evaporates. It kind of falls between this gap of I want to be doing this stuff anyway, so I'm doing it, and it's my job and I get paid to do it, so I'm doing it. And somehow there isn't a kind of space in
it
between.
just became your life.
Became
really,
my life.
Right.
And I remember being in the interview saying, like, if you choose me, like, I give myself to this job because that's what I always do. And I've thought about that since, like, maybe I should try and come back a bit from that.
Like to have yourself
to this job. But also then I go back and think, like, this is a way of, I also want to like practice my ethics and my politics in everything I do and in my work. And it's a fine line that this job or any job doesn't become me, but somehow I also want to use it to sort of, you know, make the ethics that I stand for clear and in everything I do. And maybe that's why I always enjoy being involved in everything, because I don't believe that when we're talking about ethical issues, they exist only in a conference program or only in a theoretical book. Like, they exist in our staffing structures and our budgets and our like organizational diagrams, and that's why I'm constantly sort of wanting to be involved in everything.
It's like really just your life, because it's mixed with your work, your life livelihood, and your art and your community, right? It's like everything that is blend together. But I can see also, if you enjoy doing these things, it also becomes a part of how you can find joy and how you can just, I don't know, it's easier that way when you're working, but you actually love what you do. So it's like, I get it. It's really hard to like differentiate, okay, where do I stop now? How do I create a space where it has nothing to do with my work? Because now the work is everything in your life.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah, it's like so hard.
Yeah.
I think the only way maybe is to just have some alone time, off phone, off computer, and like just in the nature maybe.
I think so. That's my like new season resolution is to try and do something that's not near work or phone, and like pick up my gardening passion again, something where my hands are too full of soil to reply to an email or touch my phone, and and have like a bit of space for thinking about things,
like mentally check off kind of, right?
Exactly. But I also feel like I have this amazing privilege to do this job, and we are an organisation that receives public funding, and a lot of our funding comes from the studio tenants, so also from people in our culture industry are putting their money into having a space at Bergen Kjøtt, but also into this thing existing and into my salary. So I also constantly feel like I also have a responsibility to really work as hard as possible to make this building and this organisation as accessible to as many people, and be like constantly kind of trying to be bold and like make decisions which are going to push this organisation into being more open and more ethical in what we do, more sustainable, because I feel that responsibility.
I can see it because I work with you for a long time now, ever since I moved here, and I can see your programs are always very inclusive. You make sure that you uplift the people who need it the most in the society, in the community, and this is something I wish more people could actually put that in their life practice. It's not just, let's talk about inclusivity, let's talk about diversity. It's not just talking, but really, like you said, planning the budget around these needs of the communities, and pushing more programs that make people visible for what they do. And I also, then it makes me wonder, because most of the studio tenants, are they same category or in the same community as the performance or the programs in the hall, in the venue? Are they the same people, or?
I think there are a lot of different communities at Bergen Kjøtt. So we have some recording studios for indie bands, rock bands, metal bands. Then we have electronic musicians, Concept X Music DJ Collective, some more like classically trained musicians, and some people that aren't playing any instruments themselves but are recording or mixing. And so everyone is sort of connected to a different community. And I think my aim is that, or what I would love to see, is that those communities keep learning from each other and crossing over, and that the bands in the studio get to also be in the same space and experience the work that Trans Pride are bringing, or Transgender Awareness Week, or the Papillon events that we have. And slowly that is kind of starting to happen, just through trying to create this space where I'm not keeping the groups that are working with marginalized communities into a kind of separate section. Like, they are part of the program, and trying to find and set up partnership programs that bring more young people to learn from the studio tenants who have a huge wealth of knowledge, but trying to get more young women and more young people from cross-cultural backgrounds to come into the studios and learn from these very talented musicians, producers that have been doing it a long time, but are also, the majority of people in the studios are white, cis, straight men. And but so I feel like I have a responsibility to kind of introduce those groups, because they already are and can learn from each other and experience each other's desires and talents and backgrounds. And that's my sort of big challenge, like how to create this place where everyone is crossing over and learning from each other. And I think it just takes time and it takes investment in those relationships, but it's starting to happen.
It is very hard to do, I think, because for well, obviously, on Drastic Social, we talk about things a little bit more bluntly. So I like to engage in a more political conversation with you about this. I think you're the best person I can talk to about this right now, about how we can blend the two worlds together. As I said, a lot of the programs Bergen Kjøtt's venue is doing, it's more marginalized groups and people who needs more uplifting, and then the studio people are more like the privileged groups that has most of the things. So, but then it's hard when you have to push things. It doesn't work if you just push it. You have to create the environment to let things happen by itself, right? But I guess there will be some sort of resistance when it comes to unknown things in the territories. And so I think that is a very like a thing that we need to create or design certain things to combat this problem. Yeah, so
yeah, and it's something that we've just been like in the last week talking about, the program that we started last year to train and empower more sound technicians, but really to try to explode this statistic that was announced this year, that 93% of sound and video and AV technicians in Norway are men, cis men, which is like, that's a huge statistic. And now there is a recruitment crisis because so many technicians have left the industry during COVID. So now we're at this point of being able to and needing to recruit more technicians, but also at this amazing moment of like changing the industry so we don't just replicate that statistic. But it's also a big change, and it's really inbuilt in us, and we are still working with so many musicians and so many DJs and producers who have never seen or worked with a female non-binary transgender sound engineer. So their like inbuilt understanding is that this person must be the person that is just the assistant. Maybe they are just there to make the coffee. They probably are not there to be the sound engineer. And also this like title of sound engineer, Lydtekniker, it's still referred to as Lydman, like the sound guy. And I think like you just understand that this kind of language and association of these of who can do these roles, it's so fixed, and it's so hard to try to give people another alternative, which actually is a reality, that these amazing women, non-binary, transgender people from cross-cultural backgrounds, people with like diverse functionalities, whether it's physical or mental, like they can do this job, but they have never seen themselves behind the sound desk, thought that this industry existed for them, found a way into it. And a lot of that is because it just is
no representation
there's
at
no
all.
representation. And but now the sound technicians that we're training, they are also kind of at the forefront of changing that image. And it's really tough because almost every time they're doing the sound, they have to deal with being dismissed, being like assumed that they don't know what they're doing, being ignored. And it's like, please stay in it. Please stay in it, because you're amazing and you're changing the world. But it's like, even just to exist in the room is really tough. And so I think like, a lot of the work to train these new technicians is about really giving them like the confidence and the support to also speak up for themselves, but deal with the stress of just it being assumed that you don't have the right to exist.
It is very hard when you just trying to do your job, and then at the same time you still have to defend yourself, right? It's entitlement from the other side that makes our life harder, right?
Exactly.
And I think changing the environment by, I don't know, maybe doing more of prep work. I don't know. I like when I first started learning about sound engineering and live streaming, I learned about these riders where you put in all the information you need to let people know before, so that they will know who's there, who's doing what, and I think that is such a great way of introducing the production to people, and then they don't question anymore who is doing what, and that is such a powerful thing to do, right? But I think maybe in the traditional world, people, I don't know, have you experienced, are they less prone to having documents prepared, or like just everything's just wing it, or oh, we know this person, they're the person kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And being in the room, like as a cis woman myself, like it's I also feel it, like people, especially when we're in these situations in productions, like people just assume that like I'm not the one that is in charge or knows anything, and yeah, and this kind of idea of like, oh, we're all like make this happen, but we kind of look to the guys because they're a guy and they probably know about technical knowledge, rather than like asking the person that they have just been introduced to as the sound engineer. And so yeah, trying really hard now to make it very clear to organisers and producers. Yeah, we sort of now try to make like a rider that I send back to the musicians or the producers that use us, that say like, this is the behaviour that we expect at Bergen Kjøtt, this is what we stand for, this is the sound engineer, this is their pronouns, this is like how you can contact them, and you know, this is if they have anything that the musician needs to be aware of in terms of like focus or needs, that can also go into there, so that it's also like you say, made very clear at the start that this is who we are. And then what tends to happen is in practice people sign the contract and be like, oh yeah, thanks for all the information, and then arrive in the room and
like
totally disregard.
So yeah,
disregard.
So that is the gap that we need to like close, right?
It's so it's and I feel it, you know, I'm in charge, and so many times people, you know, bands that are coming in, or when we've been doing technical demonstrations with different companies, so many people just walk past me and look for the like guy they can recognize in the room, and it's taken like several times to sort of find ways to assert myself, or to make kind of ground rules at the start, like I'm in charge, this is who I am, we're going to introduce ourselves, this is the pronouns we all use, I want to, you know, speak in this language so everybody can understand. And that's very different, because I think the norm is that you come into a room, everyone kind of just knows what they're talking about, and then you just see these same cycles get replicated, of the same guys get talked to, then they get more experience and they get the job, and it just doesn't get broken. But now, like over time, you know, now the guys that are in the studios and using us, they are also sort of seeing how talented these sound engineers are. Yes. And also what they can bring to the production. Yes. And that's really amazing. That it's like, of course this person is good.
You know,
that's why they're here.
You know, the thing I see in the gender disparity is that since we're always being told not good enough, or we're not, you know, as good as the other people, then we try harder and harder to get recognized and to equip ourselves, and you know, to do almost like the perfect job to be who we need to be, and overdoing things. So in the end, actually the whole community of non-men community of sound technician or whoever will have a lot of knowledge. You know, like we learn by ourselves, we learn from each other, we learn from through adversity, basically. You know, so like I believe one day it's not going to be a problem anymore. I do also think that people can see it and they know it, and right, and it's just about time that people will understand and stop questioning who is what. But this is also why I thank you so much for, you know, doing what you do.
Thank you.
I think Bergen Kjøtt is one of the best place to hold anything, because it's big and it's like the perfect space with the cafe downstairs and the smoking area outside, and you know, like all these, like, and I love the raw feeling of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's nice. It often feels like you can't really do anything wrong there. Like
yeah.
it's fine if you spill something, or if paint gets splashed on the walls, or
Yeah.
if something gets broken, because it's gone through a lot. But I also have to say thank you to you, because you know you are now like a leading live streaming technician with Ingrid Ornvik.
Yes.
Shout out to Ingrid. Yes. And it's amazing to see you both take control of the tech, take control of the situation, come with ideas and inspiration. And it's a joy to work with you.
Thank you.
And
it's a joy to work with you.
people are inspired by seeing you do that
really
job. It's amazing.
I don't know. I'm just doing my job, and I think it's also a creative outlet where I see so much potential in not just live streaming straightforward. Like now we're doing this with just one camera, showing our faces, but more in the future, more immersive, interactive content that brings to the community that couldn't be there in person, right? I know you have emphasized this is one of the things that we need to do, and also, you know, in Bergen Kjøtt, and I believe the Bergen is such an amazing place with many organizations doing very different things, but at the same time, it's a whole ecosystem, and I believe once we have developed something, it can be used in multiple organizations, right? Art centers and for example, Electronic Kunst Center. Yeah. So like all these places in the future, it can truly become more inclusive in a way. Yeah, and I believe, like, I just cannot imagine something like this can happen in my life, basically. Because when I was living in Hong Kong, I feel like everywhere I go, I'm met with a wall. Because most of the time, people don't want to share their knowledge. They don't want to tell you what they know, who they know, so that they protect their money, kind of thing. So in here is a totally different thing. People want to share, want to like learn something together. And yeah, so this is also why it inspired me to start this podcast, by talking to people like you to share some inspiring stories, and also the experiences and knowledge we have in this city. And so maybe in the future we can make this more of an educational program, you know. As like today we learn about how Eva became the hands-on managing director of a whole building of different communities, how you use your position to uplift the communities, and all the things you're thinking of to hopefully make Bergen, like, you know, one of the best places on earth, basically, you know. So I'm speechless, really.
Well, the same. Like it does go two ways, and you bringing your energy and enthusiasm and commitment also, like that keeps it going, and it fuels it, and it inspires other people as well.
Thank you. I just hope that we can really one day expand out of not just the art communities, but more of the other communities that we don't actually interact with in this city, right? Because sometimes when you live where you like with your own community, it feels kind of like a bubble where you're safe. You don't have to think too much, because as you said, when we introduce pronouns to some of the sound engineer, they're like, what is it? Like, why do we need to learn about this? Why is one person, why do they have they, them pronoun? What is it, you know? Like, it's just a lot of things we think it's already there, but it's actually not.
Yeah, it has a long way to go. And I think it's important to kind of keep bringing people with us, and it gets to the point where you want to just shut those people out. But actually it's still about like bringing everyone with us, and knowing that it's about changing like a very deep ingrained
internalized system, right?
Exactly, that we were like born with. And so it's really bringing people with us to unlearn themselves in order to come with us to change the future.
thank you so much for the insights of being who you are today.
Thank you.
But you know, apart from work, I
Yeah.
do want to talk to you more about your personal interests and
Yeah.
you know, things that brings you joy and things that make Eva who she is.
Yeah.
Right. So I will ask a few questions now.
Great.
From what we maybe the audience also wants to know is that one of the first thing is, what do you like to eat the most? What is your
know.
favorite food?
I know,
You
and
know.
it's so exciting because I really think about food all the time. And my partner Luke, he gets so frustrated because we finish breakfast and I already want to talk about dinner.
Yes.
It's like, it's my, I just love it so much, and I love cooking for people. And then
Oh, you love cooking for people.
I love cooking for people. Sometimes that's my like sort of stress relief. If things have been really tough, I just want to like cook, and I want to cook for people. And I try to cook for people at work, and when we have bands, I'm often making the food, and I love to cook and share with people. But my favorite food, I know, I was trying to remember, and I think maybe my most favorite thing is a lot of fried things,
Oh.
deep fried
Wow.
fish.
Oh.
Things that I don't really have in Bergen that much.
Oh.
Things that are kind of put in batter and then fried. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's a very unexpected one,
Yeah.
actually. Well, people who are listening to this, make
please,
notes.
please open a fried food shop. Like fried fish, but also like fried prawns, fried courgettes.
Wow.
Yeah, fried everything.
Do you like any style, or just the British style?
Any
Do you
style,
like tempura?
Tempura or like frito misto, anything that's covered in batter. Well, I have a very good friend who's also an amazing chef, Andy Abbott, and he wants deep fried sushi, and that was also just incredible.
Are these your childhood memories, or how did it come about that you love fried food?
I don't know. I think it's maybe just from, what is it from?
Yeah.
But I don't know. But some stuff that is covered in batter. And I also think maybe it's something it's maybe the one thing that I really never make myself. I never batter and fry anything.
Right.
I don't have a deep fat fryer, and we don't really.
It's
fry.
also like we think that it's not very healthy to always eat fried
Yeah,
food, so maybe that's one thing.
It's like a real treat.
Lately, I have fried multiple times fried chicken myself, and it's it's one of the best things.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Then we need to get together.
Yes. I was just
fried chicken party.
Yes, I was just talking to our first guest, Daniel Marblanca, and his partner about their favorite food.
Yeah.
And he loves eating this dish from his grandma. It's like lentil with rice.
Oh.
Yeah, and also Devon, his partner, makes these king crab. Yeah, with garlic butter sauce or something. Whoa. Yeah, and I said that if I manage to make this first series happen, in the end there will be a book about all the episodes, the conversations, and also the favorite food.
Yes.
From that person.
Amazing.
Yes, and if that happens, there will be a party.
A banquet.
Yes, a banquet of potluck. People bringing that one favorite dish over.
Then I can try and fry some things.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think maybe it's that thing I can't do it myself. So I
you
really
can.
crave it.
You can do anything.
Yeah, maybe
Eva.
that's my next challenge. That's my new hobby. To fry things.
I believe we can mostly do the things we want to do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
And so, okay, the second question is, since we're at the radio station, I forgot to talk about First Libra is our crossover partner, the radio station that I'm at during all these conversations. And so this is a radio station, and most of the time we play music. So I will also ask you about your favorite music to put into this show.
Yeah.
And so people can also learn about you from your taste of music.
Yeah. Amazing.
And so can you tell us your favorite song? Do you have a favorite song?
Yes, I do have a lot of favorite. I mean, I got a whole list here, but should I just pick one from my list, or
Can you tell us maybe 2 songs that brings you into different mood?
yeah, yes, I guess I'm working on my own nearly all the time, and I got quite into a pop music vibe, so I tend to listen to a lot of pop. And my boyfriend Luke has an incredible music collection, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But really, I'm really interested in listening to pop. And so Whitney Houston, like that's what I often put on. If I need to kind of work through something tough, get going, then it's all about the Whitney classics.
Wow.
And it just brings me a lot of joy, and it kind of gets me going when I feel like I can't do this job. And Whitney goes on, and then it's yeah.
Which song would you put on
So I would put on
start your
I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Oh, yes. Okay. Also, audience, take notes
and
of
I'm
this song.
you know, in this big studio of amazing musicians and very serious music producers, and then every now and again they just hear Whitney Houston coming out,
powering
out
the
of my office. Yeah. So I think that's my like one go-to song.
Yeah.
But recently I've been listening to a lot of Beverly Glenn Copeland, who Luke introduced me to, and now this has also become one of my kind of power playlists. And Beverly is a transgender man born in America in 1944, and plays just the most sort of amazing, uplifting but very kind of incredible music. And has been through a sort of real process as a musician and a person. And you know, in 1944 these terms of being transgender were not so prevalent or used, and it was only in the last kind of 20 years that for him has been a way that he's found to identify himself, and in a way like empower his music more through being able to embody his true identity.
Right.
And you can really hear it. And there's one song called Deep River, and you can find it on Spotify, performed live at Le Guess Who Festival, which is in the Netherlands. And there's something amazing about hearing it live with this response from the audience, that it's also just like, it's like we can do this music. We can get through it.
That's very inspiring also when you talk about this way. How do you also embody your identity, right? Like as who you are today. I think we will end with this question. Yeah. What do you do to trying to find your identity as Eva?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I don't know, but I was thinking when we were talking before, and I think about this a lot, that like when I was first starting my career and I was working as a administrator on big curatorial projects, and one in particular, you know, I guess I was like young and trying to find myself, and I was trying to do the job that I thought I should do, but I was also kind of doing it in the way that I tried or thought was the way to do it for myself. And the curator that I was working for told me, you can't be nice and get things done. Meaning in that moment, like, you can't kind of, like, we need to be like hard. We need to get things done. We need to tell people what we want, when we want it, no excuses. Like, that's the way to lead something. And somehow that quote has stuck in my mind for the last almost 10 years of like living my life through proving that quote wrong. And being nice is a kind of, it's like, what does that actually mean? But for me, it's also meant like, how can I prove that I can get things done and be organized, lead an organization, not go bankrupt, take care of people, while also, you know, looking after people, paying attention to how people feel, paying attention to who is marginalized, who needs that lift up. How do I kind of do that in every part of my work? And somehow that's been like a way for me to think about my identity in everything I do.
Wow. Do you feel like you're in a cloud of people as who you are instead of just you and then other people? Do you feel that way? Because coming from this answer, it's more like you're in among everybody, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. In among, I mean like a lot of other people that are,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just always feel like my identity and work is always uplifted by everybody around me. And I think this quote or this sort of idea just stuck with me so much, because it was suddenly this moment of like, I don't want to work like that as a single genius leader where I'm just a complete bastard to everybody in order to kind of get to the top. It's like I want to be constantly kind and working with people and understanding that everyone in my like extended working family is hugely integral to that and deserves the same respect and respect and kindness and agency in what I'm doing.
You're I don't know what to say. I just think that you're too kind, and I want to see an angry Eva at one point.
It comes out.
I want to see the angry, it's about me, Eva. Sometimes.
Angry Eva comes out. And when it does come out, it's often because someone has pushed me over. So it's there. Watch out.
Oh no.
Some people have seen it.
Well, thank you so much for today. It's
so much
a very fun conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for all the audience being here. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Bye.
Bye.